The more you reveal, it does not always happen. Some people derive pleasure from the suffering of others, even to the point of instigating or exacerbating it. Such behavior, like sadism and envy, is unfortunately inherent in many and can significantly hinder personal growth in various spheres of life, at work, among friends, or even in the family. Therefore, recognizing your weak spots and integrating your shadow can become your strength. Imagine yourself as a tree in the midst of a storm. The leaves may flutter, the branches sway, but the trunk remains unyielding, deeply rooted. It is this image of silent resilience, the image of self, that we are aiming for here. Now, we will talk about how to demonstrate that you are not easily affected by external or internal problems. Each trial teaches you to be like a tree, pretending that nothing bothers you. You do not deny the storm, but you choose not to let the rain soak you or the wind knock you down. Today, we will learn to manage our destiny, to be unyielding, strong, and calm in a sea of chaos. In this narrative, we will discuss 14 principles inspired by depth psychology. Furthermore, we invite you to self-reflection, where strength comes not from the noise of thunder, but from the silence of light. In the coming minutes, focus on the content and not on everyday distractions. Let us begin. The first principle is overcoming guilt and avoiding hatred. People with a limited outlook tend to blame others. Ordinary people blame themselves, but truly wise people understand that placing blame on anyone is a useless exercise. Modern psychotherapists believe that guilt is a feeling that must be eliminated from our lives. The key to overcoming guilt is not to play its game, not to succumb to the influence of your complexes. The difficulty lies in the fact that blaming others or yourself is an easy path to escape, as it frees you from responsibility for correcting mistakes made. Thus, appealing to guilt is a tempting trap. Only someone who is resolutely committed to self-improvement can avoid the trap of guilt and simultaneously take responsibility for their actions. This principle teaches us how important it is to overcome guilt. It aims to help us learn from our mistakes and move forward instead of dwelling on who is to blame. Wisdom lies in accepting your mistakes, learning from them, and taking corrective measures. This requires significant emotional maturity and a willingness to grow and develop, rather than getting stuck in cycles of guilt and self-blame. In the power of the shadow, along with this, it is important to avoid hating those who are hostile towards you. Your greatness and moral superiority are above those who criticize, despise, and discriminate. When we encounter hostility or contempt, our natural impulse is to react in the same way. However, by doing so, we allow these people to influence our feelings and actions. By choosing to ignore those who treat us badly, we not only maintain peace of mind, but also demonstrate significant emotional strength and maturity. This approach does not imply passivity, but rather a conscious choice not to allow the negativity of others to disrupt our peace and well-being. This principle teaches us to simultaneously overcome guilt and avoid hatred. These are important aspects of depth psychology that help us maintain inner balance and peace of mind despite external difficulties and negative influences. The second principle is to accept failures as a path to progress and find satisfaction in the present. Often, we do everything possible to avoid mistakes and not look foolish. However, depth psychology offers a different point of view. One of the best things that can happen is to make mistakes and appear foolish. This is the real path to personal and professional growth, to individuation. Victory does not come as a result of an instantaneous reaction, but is the result of a long process of trial and error. After all, it is through mistakes that we can improve what separates us from perfection. This principle encourages us to accept failure as part of the learning and growth process. Instead of being afraid of looking foolish, we must understand that making mistakes is inevitable and is essentially an integral part of progress. It is through difficulties and problems that we hone ourselves. Having accepted that failure is an opportunity for improvement, we become more open to taking risks and facing challenges. This mindset helps us to resolutely pursue our goals and constantly develop. Furthermore, it is worth remembering that true wealth lies in the ability to enjoy the process. It is important to enjoy every stage of this journey. A conscious attitude towards the present moment helps reduce stress and anxiety that arises from constantly striving for something more. By accepting the present as it is, we enrich our lives and find joy in the simplest and most everyday moments. The third principle is to remember the dangers of success and not to fixate. Success harbors a stigma that few can get rid of. This is not only about people who suddenly appear pretending to be our friends in order to take advantage of our wealth. Money is capable of changing people and not always for the better. When we become possessors of this coveted resource, we find that our moral integrity can be undermined by greed, our ego. This principle betrays us to the dangers associated with wealth. It is important to be aware of underwater rocks, such as people who may turn to us for financial gain. Wealth itself is capable of changing our views and values. Money, if not used properly, can spoil our ethical principles and distance us from what is really important in life. Therefore, we are encouraged to seek a healthy balance between striving for financial prosperity and preserving our moral and ethical values. Along with this, it is important to avoid fixating on one hope. Our human nature is prone to diversity, and concentrating all energy and resources on one goal, putting all eggs in one basket, can be risky and potentially disastrous if it does not come true. You should strive for several dreams and aspirations. This not only increases the chances of success in several directions, but also helps maintain a more balanced emotional state, since failure to achieve one goal does not mean the collapse of all our aspirations. The fourth principle is to accept humility as the basis of learning. To truly learn something, it is very important that a person is ready to revise what he thinks he already knows. With this principle, we encourage cultivating humility in the context of life. If we cling to our knowledge with pride and ego, we move further and further away from true knowledge, which is born from recognizing our ignorance about what we want to learn. Therefore, we must meet every new experience with the curiosity and amazement of a child who is capable of both wondering and wanting to learn. This principle emphasizes the importance of humility in the learning process. By acknowledging that there is always something new to learn, humility is the key to continuous growth. This is not just a virtue, but a powerful tool that allows us to keep our minds open and receptive to new ideas, perspectives, and knowledge. Approaching life as an eternal student, we maintain the ability to wonder and approach every situation, every person, and every piece of information with genuine curiosity and openness. This perspective allows us to see beyond our current understanding and challenge our assumptions, which is necessary for true intellectual and personal development. Listen twice as much as you speak. Have you ever wondered why nature gave us two ears but only one mouth? This is not a mistake and not a coincidence. This has a clear purpose. We should not fall in love with our own voice as much as with the voices of other people. By learning from others, we make progress in life instead of endlessly repeating what we already know. This principle reminds us of the importance of actively listening and learning from those whose opinion we respect and whose knowledge can enrich us. It is important not just to listen to everyone, but to choose those whose views and experience can really make a valuable contribution to our development. This helps us to expand our horizons, gain new knowledge, and strengthen relationships with those who are really important to us. By listening more than speaking, we create space for understanding different points of view and enriching our intellectual and emotional world. This helps us grow personally and intellectually, become wiser and more connected to the world around us. By focusing on listening, we strengthen our interpersonal relationships and learn to value the wisdom that others can offer. The sixth principle is to make connections with successful people. It is interesting to observe how quickly we move away from a physically ill person, fearing infection, but often do not show caution in our interaction with people who are emotionally unbalanced. One of the most critical strategies for achieving inner peace is to associate ourselves with people who have their lives in order. By surrounding ourselves with positive and supportive people, we create a positive and encouraging environment. This also means avoiding people who are constantly complaining or spreading negativity. One of the best strategies is to surround yourself with wise people. The seventh principle is to always remember that your reactions determine your destiny. We should not treat our reactions to situations lightly, since they play a key role in our success or failure. We have complete autonomy in how we deal with what happens to us. Misfortunes can befall everyone, but it is our attitude toward them that leads either to a period of depression and victimization or to personal growth. This is a precious chance to embark on a path of self-knowledge, a path of individuation. Remember that our life is not made up of what happens to us, but of what you do with that experience. This principle emphasizes the power of attitude and perception in shaping our lives. Circumstances can be uncontrollable and even unfavorable. Our reaction to them is where our true strength lies. By choosing a positive and active attitude toward difficulties, we turn obstacles into opportunities for growth. This teaching encourages us not to be mere spectators of our life, but active participants, using every experience, good or bad, as a stepping stone to greater self-knowledge and a deeper understanding. The eighth principle is to always fulfill your responsibilities. Each person has their own unique role in society and the world. The sun does not need praise or rituals to rise at dawn. It simply does, and knowing that our contribution depends on others, we are obliged to act without needing encouragement or reminders. This principle encourages us to recognize and value our individual and collective significance. Everything that exists, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem, contributes to the functioning of the whole. Fulfilling our role gives us a sense of purpose and direction. External recognition should not motivate our actions, but understanding that fulfilling our obligations is necessary for the collective well-being and harmony of society. By acting with such a sense of duty, we contribute to creating a more balanced and just world. The ninth principle is to value simplicity and engage in self-reflection. In an era of relentless pursuit of luxury and splendor, The principle of valuing simplicity presents itself as a beacon of wisdom, illuminating the path to a more balanced and authentic way of life. Choosing simplicity is not a rejection of comfort or quality of life, but a reorientation of our priorities. When we engage in the race for material goods, we often find ourselves trapped in an endless cycle of accumulation. This cycle requires not only financial resources, but also significant emotional and physical investments. This cycle can lead to a constant state of anxiety about payments, debts, and the need to maintain a lifestyle that is often more of a response to social expectations than a reflection of our true desires. Embracing simplicity allows us to free ourselves from many of these burdens. It invites us to prioritize experiences, relationships, and personal growth over material possessions. This shift in focus not only simplifies our daily life, but also opens up space for a more peaceful existence focused on what really matters. Simplicity allows us to slow down, reduce stress, and worry associated with managing wealth and financial obligations. This does not mean living without comfort, but allows you to find a balance in which comfort does not become a source of anxiety. Moreover, simplicity opens up the possibility of deeper and more meaningful relationships with the world around us. Having freed ourselves from the burden of ownership, we gain the freedom to invest our time and energy in relationships, personal experiences, and cultivating our interests and passions. Ultimately, simplicity gives the opportunity to live in accordance with our own values and not under the pressure of social expectations and norms. This principle teaches us that by valuing simplicity, we are not just making a stylistic choice, but moving towards a more meaningful and truly rich life in the aspects that really matter: human connections, personal experiences, and the satisfaction of a life that truly belongs to us. The 10th principle is to practice self-control and emotional resilience. This lesson resonates with modern reality, where we often encounter words and actions that can disrupt our emotional equilibrium. However, within us, there are several metaphorical keys that manage our emotional reactions, our complexes. Some of these keys open doors to serenity and happiness, while others lead down paths of emotional turbulence. When we allow ourselves to be irritated or worried by the actions and words of others, we essentially hand over these keys to them. By doing so, we allow them to indirectly control our emotional state, and consequently, the quality of our existence. The key to emotional resilience, therefore, lies in not giving away these keys. Maintaining this resilience is not about creating a barrier to connection or empathy, but about protecting ourselves from the negative and unconstructive. By cultivating this resilience in ourselves, we gain the ability to filter what we absorb, what influences us, and what we let pass us by. Recognizing that we cannot control the actions or words of other people, only our reaction to them, we pave the way to greater emotional freedom. This freedom is the key to maintaining peace of mind, focusing on what is important for our growth and happiness. This is the path to emotional maturity when we understand that although we cannot avoid the toxic behavior of others that reaches us, we have a choice in how we will overcome it. By taking a position of resilience and self-control, we maintain inner peace and redirect our energy towards constructive and empowering endeavors. This process is essential for personal growth, well-being, and self-realization, which ultimately provides a solid foundation for a fulfilling and meaningful life. The 11th principle is overcoming the fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown is one of the most ancient and deeply rooted human emotions. Depth psychology teaches us to overcome this fear by viewing it not as an insurmountable obstacle, but as an opportunity for personal growth and self-improvement. Instead of being afraid of what may happen to us, we should embrace the unknown as an encounter with our shadow. This principle helps us develop inner strength and confidence, allowing us to accept uncertainty as part of life. Instead of avoiding new challenges and changes, we should meet them with an open heart and a willingness to learn. Every unknown is a chance to learn something new about the world and about ourselves. Overcoming the fear of the unknown strengthens our spirit, making us more flexible and resilient in the face of life's changes. Moreover, accepting the unknown teaches us patience and humility. We understand that not everything in life can be predicted or controlled, and this awareness brings peace and tranquility. We stop worrying about what might happen and begin to live in the present moment, appreciating each day and each moment. This principle reminds us that the fear of the unknown is just a shadow, literally a Jungian shadow, which disappears when we shine the light of reason and courage on it. By embracing the unknown and overcoming fear, we open up new horizons and opportunities for ourselves, making our lives more rich and fulfilling. The 12th principle is extracting benefit from any circumstances. Extracting benefit from circumstances, whatever happens, is your choice. If you have the insight, you will be able to identify the opportunities that arise from the difficulties you face. Imagine, for example, that one fine day you learn about your dismissal from work. Instead of falling into despair and blaming fate, look at it as a chance to start the business you have always dreamed of or go on a long-awaited trip. Any situation is an opportunity. This attitude will undoubtedly lead you to a more prosperous fate than simply complaining. This approach encourages us to transform difficulties into steps for personal and professional growth. Instead of being overwhelmed by unfavorable circumstances, we are called to see hidden opportunities, alternative paths in them. By adopting such a mindset, we not only overcome obstacles, but also develop and strengthen ourselves, paving the way to a more promising and fulfilling future. The 13th principle is to be prepared for the worst. One of the main causes of anxiety and its destructive consequences is the anticipation of unfavorable circumstances in the future. We fear that our children will drop out of school, we will be fired from our job, our spouse will have an affair and ask for a divorce, or some other negative event will occur, such as bankruptcy. The problem is that every day we live in fear. In such a moment, the advice to think that everything we fear has already happened becomes relevant. What could be worse? This perspective helps to develop coping strategies. In order to move forward decisively, it is necessary to prepare for life's trials, considering the worst possible scenario as a probability and thinking about how to deal with it. This approach allows you to develop resilience and coping strategies, reducing anxiety caused by the uncertainty of the future. Ultimately, by facing our fears, our shadow, we become more able to cope with difficulties when they arise and move forward with confidence and determination. Understanding the impermanence of life helps us to use our time more effectively and meaningfully. Remembering that death is a common fate for everyone, we must invest time and energy in actions and relationships that enrich our lives. This helps to live the present to the fullest and make choices that reflect our deepest values and not get bogged down in worries about future disappointments. The 14th principle is to learn to distinguish between what you can control and what you cannot control. Embracing the uncontrollable, this principle offers an insightful view on how to deal with life's uncertainties. It helps us to recognize what is within our control and what is not, emphasizing the importance of focusing our energy and attention on those areas that we can influence. many aspects of life, such as the perception of other people, our reputation, the end result of our efforts, success, and even the availability of resources, are beyond our direct control. These uncontrollable elements can become sources of great suffering and disappointment if we pay too much attention to them. The principle invites us to acknowledge and accept this reality, thereby avoiding wasting time and emotional energy on problems that we cannot change. Instead, we are advised to focus on improving what is within our control. These include our decisions, beliefs, and reactions to life events. By focusing on these areas, we not only increase our effectiveness and influence, but also gain a greater sense of peace and satisfaction, knowing that we are doing everything possible in the given circumstances. This principle is especially valuable in times of adversity when we are faced with difficulties, dissatisfaction, and disappointment. Instead of resenting what we cannot control, we are invited to meet these difficulties with curiosity and perseverance, viewing them as an opportunity for learning and personal growth. Instead of complaining about what we cannot control, we are invited to adapt our approach and relationships, resorting to the art of acceptance and transformation, to the integration of the shadow. By accepting what is not within our control and transforming what is within our control, we move through life with a greater sense of purpose and tranquility. This teaching not only helps us cope with the vagaries of life. This point of view not only brings inner peace, but also directs our energy to where we can really make a difference. Having learned and applied this teaching, we become more resilient and focused, able to get through difficult periods with a clear mind and a calm heart. Thus, depth psychology is not just a set of ideas, but a practical path to a more balanced and fulfilling life. By applying its principles, we can develop emotional resilience, wisdom, and inner peace. Each of us is able to choose how to react to external circumstances and thereby strengthen our inner self, our self. Thank you for watching. May psychological wisdom guide you to peace and tranquility every day. Stay with us to continue this inspiring journey to inner harmony. Remember that true strength lies in the ability to remain calm and steadfast, even in the most difficult moments. Until next time.